So I was raised in a house with a single mom. My dad and mom split up when I was probably in fourth grade. We don't come from a lot. But when you're really from that life, you don't want to talk about that life because there's nothing fun about it. That's all I knew and all I saw. Everything we went through in life, is done on the purpose and plan of God, and to get us where we want to be. We all have the same opportunities. We all have the same opportunity to take a path. We just don't capitalize on it.
You got hit with a little controversy, but here's what I always wanted to ask you this.
You're the first media outlet to ask me a question about that. And God gave me something bigger and better.
Welcome back to the Zapata brand with George Zapata. And today I got a very special guest, someone whose presence you can't miss. Literally, the first time I met him here in Berwick, he walked into my shop and had to duck just to get through the front door. But what struck me more than his size was his story. Gus Felder, just isn't a former Penn State standout and leader in football. He's someone who's dedicated his life to helping young men succeed, not only on the field, but far beyond it. Currently, he's the executive director of player development at Nebraska, and now the author of a brand new book, The Inside Game, Mastering the Mind, Strengthening the Spirit, Leading with Purpose. Gus, finally, it's an honor to have you on the show. Welcome aboard, buddy.
Finally, we finally made it happen. It's been schedule's been tough. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And thank you so much for your consistency and keep, just the patience you had with me trying to get this thing worked out. When it's something I wanted to do, and we needed to get it done. But I think the timing worked out perfect.
It actually does. Now, before we get into the book, though, I want to start with your journey, because I think a lot of people see you and they see the titles and the success you've had, and all the way from little town Berwick to Penn State to Miami to the NFL. Now back here at Nebraska, they see all these accomplishments, but what they don't know is the road that you took. Could you just give us a little background story of what was it like growing up?
Man, growing up, I grew up in North Philadelphia, and I hear a lot of these young guys want to brag about the stuff that stuff they think they've been a part of and seen, but when you're really from that life, you don't want to talk about that life because there's nothing fun about it. So I was raised in a house with a single mom. My dad and mom split up when I was probably in fourth grade. I'll never forget that night. Just know how it went down and the separation. But my mom raised all boys. She raised to be tough. She raised to be gritty because she was the only girl of 7 brothers. We don't come from a lot, but what we have, we appreciate. During the time of us being poor and living where we live, it didn't seem that way. It didn't seem that way looking back on those days and those some of the best parts of our lives. Us growing up with our brothers when we were little and hanging out and the cousins, everybody coming around. But at the same time, everything we went through in life, is done on the purpose and plan of God, and to get us where we want to be. So I grew up in North Philadelphia. My dad played in a band early. My mom and dad were. My dad was a roadie, playing in a band, played the bass guitar, played the saxophone, was heavy into the drug scene during the 60s and 70s, and that just consumed his life. Was he a bad dude? No. Did he love us? Yeah. Did he care for us? Yeah, but he just wasn't around the way inner city or any young man needs a father in his life. So we were raised by our mom. My mom just, she made a change that they separated. And then, like my younger brother, Jamel, is 40, and he spent most of his life telling everybody that, his dad passed, our dad was dead, but he wasn't. He just didn't know him the way I did, the way we know him and see him, my older brother. So, but here and there, we made it through. We endured. We're all living, raising families, doing some great things, making our parents proud, I'm growing, like I said, North Philadelphia.
Well, now here's the thing. There are so many different angles I want to go here, because our stories are almost identically similar. Yeah. And why I say this is because me being Puerto Rican descent, you being a black man. Mm-hmm. Fathers are very important in our lives, but they're sometimes never there. A lot of times, my dad left very young. Also, never really knew him. What I admire the most, one of the most things I admire about you, and I've seen it from anytime I've seen you out, you're a family man. That is very important to you. It seems like it's one of the most important things in your life. Tell me about that and how your father leaving impacted you as to the person you wanted to be.
Although they separated, here's the thing: like my dad was into drugs, but it didn't consume or his ability to be around us. So a lot of my Penn State teammates, they know this. Like any barbecue or any cookout I had at Penn State during that time, my dad was the one that was cooking. He was there. You know what I'm saying? So we may not have agreed over his life decision or what he did. We never, so my dad passed away in 2020, and we talked quite often. My dad, he's been to every place I've been to be the cook because he chose to. My dad never drove a car. My dad never watched me play football in person, but he was there back at the house preparing the food because that's what he chose to do. And here's the thing: growing up, everybody read, "Oh, my dad wasn't around." My younger brother was just a baby. My dad separated, so he has his own story. Sometimes he creates some things that aren't real in his mind because he just didn't have the level of support that my older brother and I had when our dad was around. You see what I'm saying? So I say that. So my dad was a kind man. He was a hard worker. He was a carpenter. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm gonna call you a coin right away. Don't mess that up. All right, I'll see you there. Thank you. Close that door. That was my one of my daughter's fiancés coming to grab some stuff. My dad was smart. One of the smartest people I knew. My dad was the only person in my family to graduate from Dobbins Tech, the first high school I went to in Philadelphia. That was the reason why I went to Dobbins. You see what I'm saying? So, but he just made some decisions and choices that he didn't fully support us the way he should have during that time. My mom was a single mother raising 4 boys, and my dad's off, enjoying the drug life, and the separation was I don't know, I wasn't there. We don't know what our parents go through when we were little at that time. Right. We don't know, but I know that every Christmas my dad was there for us. Every Christmas, every holiday that took place in our family, my dad was a cook. He was there. He was at Christmas. He was at Thanksgiving, Penn State games, all that stuff. But they were just separated. My mom and dad never got a divorce. They were just separated based off differences in life and decisions. You know what I'm saying? My dad. That's what it was. So for me and my older brother, my dad was throughout our whole life. For my younger brothers, they didn't have that same experience, so they have a different story to tell than what I have. I wish they could have got that, but they didn't. So far as, and here's another dynamic of my life that people don't know. Like my dad and my mom, they grew up right next door to each other. Mm-hmm. So in Philadelphia on Lawrence Street, 3rd and Diamond, Lawrence Street, they grew up right next door. So when I would go, I have memories of my dad taking up. My dad never drove, so we walked everywhere in Philly. We walked from 31st and Lehigh when we moved all the way down to 3rd and Lawrence. We go see our grandparents. It was the best time of our lives. We walked everywhere with our dad. Regardless of what he had going in his life, he still took that time to be around. He was in our lives even until 2020. But he wasn't there as much as I am now. So my kids right now, I make this vow, like my kids would never be raised in a household without both parents being there. So whatever struggles or sacrifices my wife and I we have to make, where do you want to make that happen? So my kids from 28 to 14, we're always in the house. Wherever I go from place to place, all the places you name, we all go together. My daughter just got married in Georgia. I'm jumping back to the other story. But all of my kids and grandkids and my wife, we all live here in Lincoln, Nebraska. So we're not spread across. Wherever I go, they go. That's what I said. My son, he's going to my son-in-law, just came in to pick up something. But we went back home to Georgia for my oldest daughter to get married last week. She's 28. She got married to another young man, Kelson Adams, who's a Georgia resident. And guess where he lives at? He lives here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Works at Sid Dillon's Auto Shop. Auto dealership. So wherever we go, like their husband got to understand that we're going together. That's just the bare minimum that's going to happen. But as far as like what we got from that, like we seen, my dad always worked. He into drugs in his personal life, but he didn't let it stop him from being. Now maybe him and my mother had some differences that kept him away. We don't know those stories. That's their issues, the workout and all that stuff. But like my dad got my mom pregnant and bounced out.
Right. Okay.
It didn't happen that way. No, he was around. I just know during that time when I remember just hearing different styles from different people, my dad just allowed the music business and the drugs and alcohol to consume him, and my mom wanted different.
Well, one of the things, Gus, that I wanted to talk to you about when I first met you, and I came out here in '96, and you were big here in Berwick, and you got hit with a little controversy. But here's what I always wanted to ask you this. I've been dying to ask you, and you know what? The funny thing is, George Curry came into my bagel shop one morning when I was baking at about 4:30 in the morning, And it just scared me. I look back and here's George Curry coming through, and I don't really know him that well. I didn't know him that well at that time. I've got a great relationship with him and his kid and his grandson. What I didn't understand, there was such a big hoopla about you coming to Berwick. Just a big hoopla. They were saying they went out and recruited him. They did this. They did all these things. Now, the problem I had was, look where you were. Some man took you to make something better for yourself, and you were getting negative press about that.
You know why, though? I'm going to tell you why he got negative press. I'm going to tell you why he got negative press, because that's the only way they can beat him. They couldn't beat him. So it hit on September 9th, 2025. I have a book coming out called The Inside Game, The Truth, Dawg Days. And I'm going to talk about because you're the first person that I know in the media outlet that has ever asked me any questions related to what was my thoughts, opinions, or feelings during all that stuff that was going on. And I'm 46 now. That happened over 30 years ago.
Yep.
You're the first media outlet that asked me a question about that. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm gonna cover it all. So this is my first book, the Inside Game, Strengthen Your Mind. That's just a leadership book for camp, and everybody going to use I use my own personal life. I'm not going to talk about use my own personal stories in live. I use Stoic philosophy. I use spiritual scriptures just to to uplift people and show them that whatever they're going through, whatever happens to you in life, it's just something you're going through is not who you are. But with that being said, I really believe that George Curry and the Berg Bulldogs, the Bergtown, took slack because of me coming to town, because they were so successful, and that's the only way they can beat them. That's the short version of what I believe was the issue.
Well, your book, The Inside Game, Mastering the Mind, Strengthening the Spirit, Leading with Purpose. You got this book that came out, and it's your first book. And I mean, I'm sure you got a ton of stories that can go in there. But one of the things that really stands out in your book is the theme about it, building the inside game. Can you tell me what does the inside game mean in real life?
Inside game in real life means not being consumed by the things of this world. If you don't know who you are in any job, any industry in this world, the world will make you what it wanted to be. And we live in a world of social technology, social media. We see that, we got to be that, and a weak-minded person or a weak person internally will confide to that and think that's what the norm is, which it should be. It takes courage to really trust in the Lord. It takes courage to really have fear in the Lord, to understand that you're not fear that you're scared of. Fear, you're using the term fear as if your submission to the Lord, to God, letting them know, no, you can lead my life. Everything that happened to my life, I look back on it, and I'm gonna tell you, look, so this is this book right here. Read that date. It says January to April 2021. I was with the Carolina Panthers. So I'm a journaler. I write all day long. I got books everywhere. I wrote these. It's 2025 right now. My book released July the 6th, 2025. I was writing these notes out in this book back then. All right, what I'm gonna do? It says up top, Red Rock, Berwick, Penn State, senior season, NFL, round 2, my parents, all those things we're talking about right now. It's supposed to be an autobiography, family, faith, and blessings. Goes on to the next page and just showing me just jotting notes down about what I want to share. It was originally supposed to be 30 chapters, longer chapters, but I didn't want to have something that's going to scare people away. So it just talk about everything that I endured and learned over the years of my life of how to put my faith into God, understanding what happens to us. In Jeremiah 29:11, here's a plan for our life, more perfect than we ever think that we have. So than we ever can imagine for ourselves. So everything that happened in my life happened on purpose, happened for a reason. I'm not the best athlete coming out of North Philadelphia. I'm not the best athlete coming out of Red Rock Job Corps Center. But the things that I went through when I was going through made me the man I am today. And if it weren't for God, people like George Curry, Sandy Slavic, Sally Johnson, just the town of, I can keep naming people in the town of Berwick who helped. Even my upbringing in Philadelphia, my dad, my mom, my aunts and uncles, watching those guys make mistakes to do things that, make them make poor decisions, help shape me internally, mentally. That's the biggest thing. And having the wherewithal to understand that, like I'm more than what the world makes me. I'm not supposed to be here. I was told I wouldn't make it at Penn State. I was told I wouldn't make it at Job Corps. I was told I wouldn't make it through Berwick because of other people's decisions, and before me getting there, I was just judging my colors. And internally, I knew I was something different and better. I know that I have God on my side, and I have a will to be better. And because the Bible tells me so, not because the world's telling me so, because scriptures and Stoic philosophy are telling me that I'm better. I'm more than just a ball player, and I'm more than just a statistic. And I make sure that by the way I live my life. So in order for us to endure those things, we have to have you have to be grounded and rooted in the right stuff. So you don't let Instagram control your life. You don't let your neighbors, what they're getting to buy and control or predict what you need to have. You don't, celebrate them, love them. But what you're going through is because of your decision makings and God's plan in your life.
Was your faith always this strong?
It grew over time. It grew over time. It's just my grandmother, my mom's mom, we call her my mom, real huge. It was the first time I put a Bible in front of me. I was so intimidated by it. I was afraid to read it. We had the King James version. I was so intimidated by it. So we knew of God. We knew of God. We knew of the Lord. My mom grew up going to church all the time every week. But no, I didn't really. My faith got stronger over the years. The more and more I grew wiser, the more and more things I had to endure and go through. Because a lot of times you don't understand what's happening. You don't know what's going on with yourself. You don't know how to, we can't handle it. We think it's not what happens to you, how you respond to it over the time. And I learned that, that's something devastating to happen to somebody. They think that's the end all say all. No, that's just strengthening you. That's sharpening you. That's adding fuel to the fire. It should add fuel to the fire. That's what it does for me. You know what I'm saying? So being released from the Cleveland Browns, that wasn't my end all. So I went back and coached longer than I played. That was God's plan for me. Like leaving Red or dropping out of Berwick, getting kicked out of Dobbins, first of all, then dropping out of Gratz, and then going to Job Corps, and then happened to be sitting in Sandy Slavic was substituting in as an RA at Red Rock Job Corps Center. That's all God. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Like, she's not even a full-time RA at the time. She was substituting for a weekend and overheard me talking about wanting to be a football player. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then, the Columbia Colts are starting to try out that weekend. All that is all God at that time and place. So my faith just grew just by, I look back on these things now. When I'm going through it, I'm just going through it. I didn't think nothing of it. I just knew that I wasn't going back to Philly. I knew I was better than I didn't want to be like, there were some players that got to Berwick before me that had the same skin color as me. And I was judged by that when I first got there. I'm not that guy. I'm not him. So I'm going to show you who I am. I'm going to show you how much better I am. And I think it takes grit, it takes fortitude, and it takes patience to have all those things to take place. And I had to grow up fast, the way I grew up.
Before you had that real strong faith in God, as you were going through after you left Penn State, you got drafted in the NFL, did you ever doubt yourself?
I don't think so. I'm sure right now, I don't think so. I really don't. I'll tell you right now, I don't have any regrets in anything that happened in my life because I know they all happened for purpose, for a reason. I may have doubted situations, and I hate to use that word doubt. I'll use the word worry. I hate using that word because all those things are just sheep-like words, and I believe mind over matter. And so I don't ever think I have any doubt. And not playing for a guy like George Curry, because I look at the people he put. Look, George right here on my wall, man. I can't even show y'all, but look, he stays with me everywhere I go. Boom, right up here, right on my wall. So it don't go anywhere. So it's just the people that were placed in my life that motivated me, and that was the best thing about people. That, like you said at the beginning, they're trying to chastise or reprimand somebody. Want to help people. Truly have a passion for developing and caring for people. That's why I do what I do right now. So with his motivation, Manny, Henry, they're just the confident the guys around the team. Like the first time I'm having a conversation with Manny, and they knew they worked hard, knew we were the best. So I didn't have time to doubt myself. You see what I'm saying? So early on, probably when I was in Philadelphia, I think I may have, I know I have, because that's all I knew and all I saw. Mm-hmm. What was around me. So the job, if you didn't go to high school, it wasn't no big thing. You just go and sell drugs. You just go ahead and hustle. You just go ahead. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But going to Job Corps and going to Berwick, being separated and meeting guys like Manny, I'm having a conversation with Manny, and I say, Manny, how many state championships are we going to win? He said, how many years you got here? I said 2. He said, we're going to win 2. Without a doubt, without a question. You know what I'm saying? This. Hey, how much you bet I'm going to lift 500? He went and he benched 500, like right in front. So the confidence that Curry put into us, and just being around a guy like Jeremiah Dyer, it's one of the quietest, most nice, most polite people we want to meet. But on the football field, turned into a demon.
Yeah, there was something that you said that struck a chord with me down in Philadelphia. anytime we see fighters come out of there, we say, there's a million Bernard Hopkins, there's a million Mildred Taylors, there's a million of them.
100%.
But there's only a
100%.
very, very few that don't go to the street, that don't do but you were the one who did the right things.
Yes.
And that's why I said, did you ever say, like, God, why me? I'm doing all the right things. Why can't I?
He put people in my life. I mean, he put people in my life that showed me what my older brother was a prime example. I knew, and I was told not to be like my older brother. Here's another fine product that came out of North Philadelphia, Napa Street alone, just my neighborhood. Rod Coleman, look him up. Rod Coleman got drafted went to East Carolina, holds the all-time sack record in East Carolina. Got drafted to the Raiders. Played, I think he held the sack record for the Atlanta Falcons. Rod and I would drive to school every day. We started at Simon Gratz that first Friday together. First game we both played together. We came in on Tuesday, Wednesday we had practice, Friday we started the game. And Rod would drive us practice, drive me to school every day. We would go, and he always said, "Don't be like your brother. Don't be like your brother. You do better than your brother." And that was just, I kept having those things. My mom, be better than your brother. But not here to bash my brother, my older brother. He's doing great now. He just school wasn't his thing. I did have to be like my brother. My older brother went to Job Corps before I did. He went to Job Corps first, and he did great in Job Corps. He actually went back twice to Job Corps and got 2 trades, and now he's living a life running. He lives in Johnstown, PA, running some factory over there, living his life great with all his kids growing up. Got a daughter in college playing softball. So early on, I couldn't, because my brother was doing some things that we shouldn't be doing. And I kept, but I think God put people in my life to help move. I had move in a different direction. I had a decision to make. I can go here, be with Bill and them, or I can go ahead and go to Job Corps like my brother and get something going for myself. You see what I'm saying? So
I get that point too, and that it's very important that you had those people in your life. But you've worked with some athletes at the highest level, NFL, all the way to Nebraska. And you've said this before, football should be your plan B.
100%.
Life is your plan A. And I love that quote. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, it goes back to that statement about the world. The world looked at most of us, how we look, our size, our skin color, and just say, "Oh, he's just a ball player. Oh, he's just that. He's just this." We have so many skills and talents that the Lord gives us. Most of us just don't take the time to capitalize on our provisions in our life. So I have a cigar brand. I'm a published author. I collect and build Lego. I work in athletic administration. I'm a football coach. I have multiple degrees from Penn State after dropping out, finishing my doctoral degree here this coming fall. There's so much more that we can do, and we have to take advantage of the provision that God put into our life. We might know that a lot of times we don't know that provisions in our life because we're lazy. We're just sitting around waiting for somebody to do it for us. We all have the same opportunities. We all have the same opportunity to take a path. We just don't capitalize on it. There were players before me at Berwick that probably had the same opportunities I had, but didn't take advantage of them. And some of them. You probably see someone walk around town right now.
Yeah.
You walk around. I mean, it's real. I just knew that when I see those things happen, I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be that. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that at some point football was going to end. I knew that. And before I even went to Berwick, before I even went to Penn State, my plan was so simple and naive. I didn't know any better, that I'm going to go to Job Corps, get my high school diploma, and go to a small college. That was my plan. And God gave me something bigger and better. Every day I said, man, I want to be a high school football coach so that I can break all of George Curry's records. And he keeps giving me the Miamis, the Georgias, the Carolina Panthers, the Falcons, the Nebraska. You understand what I'm saying? So our plan, his plan is always so much more better than ours. But at the same time, when it ends, when football ends, everything you've done in your life, everything you built up to, everything God's given you is to help you live a luxurious life. So not for yourself. It's so you can build the kingdom and get back to others. So that's why football is your plan B. I mean, in life, your plan A, because we have so many skills and talent to give to other people and continue to build the kingdom.
Yeah, well, going back to the book, was there one chapter that was hardest for you to write, maybe because it was to hit too close to home?
No, I think here it is. And I was talking to someone earlier about this. Every one of us have a story. Every single one of us. We all have a story. And every story is unique. It's unique because it's created by God, but just sometimes we just don't take the time to share it. We don't take the time to allow it to lead others. So when I opened up and talked about these, now I wrote these things down back in 21. So I knew I was going to. I wrote some of these things back in 2016 when I was doing some inserts for Ron McKeefer's book. I wrote a few inserts in that book for him. So no, I think you need to tell. That's the thing. We need to humble ourselves. You got to have humble confidence. Humble confidence. That's what Matt Rule says all the time. Mark Rick will say it. Humble confidence. Have enough humble confidence to know that I have a story that's going to benefit and help somebody else. So me, even after leaving Berwick and doing all the great success I had in 2009, I had nothing because of poor decisions. Even as an adult, I had nothing, but I had my family. Right. You see what I'm saying? And I had the will and the wherewithal to go ahead and make some things happen, not sit around and wait for somebody to do it for me.
Yeah. And you know, Gus, I saw you when you would come into the bagel shop. You didn't come in often, but you would come in and I would see you there. I saw you a lot outside of Berwick.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, when you would come in, the way you carried yourself, the way people looked up to you, they lit up when you would come in. And then they knew you were just more than an athlete. I think your presence that you and what you gave off, I don't know what you would call that, or vibe, I would say.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about the impact your energy alone has had on young men when you're their mentor?
I think about it when I'm sitting down doing something like I'm writing or doing something like that. If I'm doing something, or if I'm talking to another athlete or person or coach, not just I talk with young staff members. As I'm saying these things, and I'll stop mid conversation like I'm saying these things to myself because it's how you make people feel when you're done talking to them. And I cared about that. I cared about, like you said, you walking around and seeing me around Berwick. And I cared about. I didn't want to be compared to other people. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to look bad. And it's funny, when I talked with Matt Rule the other day, they said, "Gus, you have this thing about yourself. You don't want to look bad." I said, 100%. I care about I care about how people feel when I'm done talking to them when I walk away from them. Talk about me, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm on your mind. I'd rather be there than not in the world. So. And it matter, and I tell everybody this all the time. This is something I want you to stick with. Everybody listen to this podcast or watching this podcast. And I picked this up. I always knew I did it, but to put in these terms, I had to learn these terms as I grew older. I operate and move to serve God, not to serve man. If I'm doing everything I'm doing to please God, everyone else will fall into place. So I try my hardest. I work every day to any interaction I have, any out in the public, anywhere. How's God going to judge me? He's the only one that can judge me. How's he going to view me and judge me? And that really goes to my mind. Talking to somebody in my mind, like before this call right here, I'm thinking we're going to 2:00. I'm praying for the right words to use to make sure that I come across clear and precise to everybody's listening to it, and I can be a blessing to somebody that listens to it. Everything I've been through, it's like God was preparing me for what's going on, what's happening next. I went to Job Corps not for a trade, but to find Kelly. I went to Berwick to meet George Curry and meet the town of Berwick to find what real team and meet, here we are still talking about these. Like, there aren't many Sonny Slavics or Sally Johnsons or Kermit Johnsons in the world. Those guys didn't know a thing about Gus, but they took me in and made me feel home. Kimberly Glass. I can keep naming people my teach. Kimberly Glass. I don't know if she's still teaching at Berwick or not. I know we follow her on social media. I remember it being in her speech class. My favorite class and favorite teacher to this day. And she probably doesn't understand the impact that she had on me to be able to do all they pay me to go speak now, bro. You know what I'm saying? They pay me to go talk to people. I remember I just say ask, and she says ask. Just so many grateful things for what the town of Berwick has done for me. And nobody can say anything bad about Berwick or anything about Berwick or George Curry, Cosmo Curry, my brother, you know what I'm saying? Like my supporter, any decision I got to make now, went from Curry to Cosmo. I can just keep going. You know what I'm saying? I can keep going, and I can't, I'm so thankful for that. So I wouldn't tell myself anything different. I would tell myself just be ready. But I don't have anything philosophical, any spiritual thing to say about that, because I wouldn't change anything that happened, anything that I was doing at that time.
Well, Gus, this has been powerful. Your story, your book, and the work that you're doing now, it's really making a difference. And I don't know whether you know it or not. We talked a little bit before we got on the air. You are been one of the most requested guests that we have not really gotten to. Finally, we get to get it done. So for everybody listening, the book is called The Inside Game, Mastering the Mind, Strengthening the Spirit, Leading with Purpose. Grab your copy, dive into it, and take the lessons into your own life. Gus, again, I want to thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom. And I know this won't be the last time you'll be on the show.
We got to do it again. We were so vague and quick. Most shows an hour. This was 30 minutes. And I try to be careful with the words I use so we can not give away so much in the book. I want you to read it. You read it, and I promise you it'll bless you or bless your kids. You don't have to be just a person in sports to see how you can endure through stuff and work through. I know we were short on time, but I just want to share that with everybody. So it's not just a guy from the I just take spiritual scriptures and I take Stoic philosophy, and I use story from my life to explain how those things can relate in your life. And at the end of each chapter, I provide some notes. You can write your own notes in there and write your own stuff. This is really my copy. And people ask me, why do I write my own books? I told you I'm a journal. I write all these things. Anytime you see a book from me that I have personally, any book that I have, all right, I'm huge into Stoic philosophy. I write notes to my kids or anybody that's going to read these books when God calls me home. So there's notes to my son. I have one son. I have 5 girls and 1 son. And I want to leave him a legacy. I want to leave what's behind. He can take all my books and he can just look at them and read. This is my other book. I have a 31-day proverb challenge on Amazon. But yeah, so I do that. I'm going to write stuff down, get it out your mind, see it on paper, come back to it, and to bless you. Your own words will, I promise you.
Well, you don't just speak it, you live it. And guys, everyone out there listening, go grab the book on Amazon right now. The Inside Game. I want to tell everyone that the outside game, that might be where you get noticed, but it's the inside game that keeps you standing. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and remember, don't be envious of what I've accomplished in my life. Be inspired by what you can do in yours. Gus, thanks a lot.
Thank you.